Hello designers, this is Rebecca and this is your assignment 1 secondary BI design critique. Let's go ahead and look at the requirements and then I'll get into your submissions. So for this overview, the assignment aims to discover effective branding strategies with secondary branding identity. You are to conduct diverse experiments to find visual attributes that enhance the current brand identity system and style guide. Successful design solutions will propose a unique concept and idea based on consumer experience and marketing strategies. You were to design a logo and product mock-ups for a child's acting camp at the Shakespeare's Globe London in Theatre. Sorry, Shakespeare's Globe Theatre in London, England. What objects would children need to bring to a day camp, and what are some mementos or merchandise they might receive or buy from their experience? Use the existing Globe branding to inspire the Groundlings Children's Acting Camp. Secondary branding. How can you make the main brand, a sub-brand, and sub-brand work together visually? So I'm just going to scooch on down past the process and go to the assignment requirements checklist. Slide 1, you were to include the name, your name, the class name, and my name. Slide 2 would be your persona for your child. Slide 3, a photo of the backpack and short notes on your experience with body storming. What were your apprehensions, your difficulties, enjoyments, overall outcome? Slide 4 was your mind map or maps. Slide 5, your mood board. Slide 6, 32 numbered logo thumbnails. Slide 7, brand guide. Slide 8, 2 to 4 product mockups on a 2x2 grid. Slide 9 to 11, each product on its own slide as large as possible. Slide 13, written reflections on the overall project, what you liked, where you ran into difficulties, how you overcame any challenges, and why you chose specific colors, fonts, textures, patterns, and the 4 final objects. Slide 14, any works cited, and an ending slide. All right, let's go ahead and get on into it. First up is Ray, and let's see what Ray submitted. Okay, so Ray's persona, Ray's person is Ella, and Ella is an 8-year-old living in a suburban borough in London. She's bright and happy, and her parents are interested in finding extracurricular activities for the summer that she'd love. When she and her parents went to see a production of Romeo and Juliet at the Globe, she was thrilled at the idea of being on stage and being an actor. Ella's mom and dad, I like that you said mom, are both modest and hardworking individuals. Their philosophy is that a child should be raised in an expressive and cheerful home. They often encourage their 8-year-old's flair for the dramatic. So her likes are dancing, singing, making new, making new. That's okay. Happiness is going to the playground puppies, 2 separate things, going to the playground puppies and making their mom and dad laugh. Cute. Favorite colors are green and pink. Favorite food, fish fingers and chips. Favorite drink, OJ. Very cute. So here's your mind map. That's good. That's good. So in the future, when you mind map, we can branch off even more here, okay, on some of these things. Let your mind maps just really go nuts, okay? The more you get it out onto that map, the more you can work out and more details you can incorporate. Great. So body storming was really interesting in my opinion. I've never done a brainstorming process that was super tangible and physical like that. It did kind of make me think about the context of what an acting summer camp attendee would need a lot more than a diagram would. Good. I will say that brainstorming went smoothly since I had a lot of the stuff already on hand. That's great. I can imagine if my persona was drastically different than me, it would be tougher. Yeah, it also made me realize I really do still have some of the purchasing habits of an 8-year-old. That's great. Yeah. But even if the persona isn't close to you, to your personality, it does help you really kind of step out of your own personality and try to empathize and relate to them even more. So it's still a great exercise. Great. This is a good looking mind map. Good. Really good. Excellent. Love it. Good, good, good. Ooh, lovely mood board. Really nice. Excellent. Cool. So in the future too, feel free to add fonts, add some color swatches if you want. Don't have to, but just know that that's stuff that you can see on mood boards too. And here are some thumbnails. Excellent. Great. Good, good. Really nice. Good, okay. So here's your brand guide. So we have two greens and a light gray, maybe with a hint of green in it. Um, Excellent. So this is our logo. Cute. Really nice. All right, I'm going to return to this in a little bit. I just want to see everything. Oh, great. Really nice mock-ups. Oh, these are neat, these little journals. That's a wonderful idea. I love that. Good. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm seeing some variation in the icon versus the scale of the text here versus here, and that should be consistent. So I think the larger one is more legible, but this does look nice and clean, having it be about the same height as the text. But when we scale it down, you could lose some detail. So I would go with the larger here. And I like how it's centered on that circle there. Really nice. Good. And these are even a different scale here. Okay. I think the bigger one, bigger the better on a water bottle like this. This looks cool though. I like the circle one too. It looks nice. Yeah. Okay. So learning about secondary brands was very enlightening. I've never thought about how common of a branding strategy it is before this project. I also enjoyed learning about the Globe Theater as well as the arts and crafts movement. It's easy to see why so many people regard the arts and crafts movement as the predecessor of Art Nouveau. I found a lot of inspiration with both the handcrafted artisan look of the movement. I wanted to reflect that in the shapes and textures. I also really loved the philosophy of prioritizing quality over quantity. Additionally, the arts and crafts movement had a wonderful respect for nature. I love that design style in both ANC as well as Art Nouveau. Me too. With the colors, the idea was to strike a balance between nature yet still appealing to children of the modern day. Thus, although I was initially going to use very muted greens and browns, I chose more vivid shades that still can be found outdoors. The camp is meant to be held outdoors in the Globe Theater, which does not have an overhead roof, so I thought it'd be more appropriate. I did find it really tough to reckon with the maximalist patterns of the movement with trying to keep the logo readable and less busy. I understand that. But I think I found a good medium with what I ended up on. I think if I had more time, I would have liked to incorporate more of those ornate floral designs into the mock-ups, such as the folder having those amazing illuminated manuscript designs in some of the books from the movement. Fantastic. So you can add some of those things for your final presentation. That would be really awesome. So back to the logo. So hold on, I gotta just look at something. Okay, I'm cool. All right. Um, yeah, so I think that the this text here could be about the height of it, right? Scaling up. This is perfect. The way that it is almost like justified alignment is wonderful. I love the two fonts together. I love the all caps and bolder font versus the sentence caps and having this, uh, mm, I'd say like, more Gothic kind of font. I think they work really nicely together. It's beautiful. And then, but I do recommend scaling this up so that if you were to align it on the baseline, which you're not going to do, I'm just saying for scale wise, if you were to align the text to the baseline of this circle, the text is as tall as the halfway point, okay? And then center it over here like you have it. It's just going to be a little taller and a little longer, all right? Then those two are really balancing equally. I think it'll look perfect. And then keep those, group them. You can rescale as you need, but I wouldn't go smaller on the icon because of what you said. There's all this texture and stuff, and you don't want to, because it's a little bit maximist with the texture, You don't want to lose a lot of detail when it gets tiny. Okay, great. And then over here with the Groundlings Children's Acting Camp, I am feeling like this is a bit too close here to the circle compared to the spacing that you have below it. All right, so that was kind of throwing me off just a bit. So what we do is we create little circles in Illustrator that go from the top of sorry about that, that go from the top of the letter to the edge of the thing that we're trying to measure next to it, right? So the diameter of the tiny circle, the edge will touch the top of the C and touch the edge of that log, right? So then we use that little circle, we place it between this text in different places to make sure that that spacing is the same. We use it as a little spacer, you know, and we're just using it as we're aligning it. Once we're done with it, we get rid of it. We just delete it. I hope that makes sense what I'm trying to say to you there. All right. I mean, the other thing you could do is whatever path you're using here, you just make sure that path matches this path, the two circles, and that they're aligned, centered. But I think the circle thing that I'm talking about is the circle measurement system is a little easier and more accurate. All right, great. You could also go a little bigger on the text on both of them if you want to, not mandatory. And if you were to add some of the little floral aspects, you could stick a little floral aspect between these two in these negative spaces, but by no means is that required, and do you have to. You can just play with it. If you love it, go with it. If it's too much, it's up to you. All right. Great work. Thank you so much. Oh, I know. I'll also want to say I love your color palette. I think the punchier green is better for kids, you know, than a completely like a real earthy, kind of more muted um, palette. So that was a really great choice there. All right. Thanks so much. Next up is Derek. All right. Let's see what Derek submitted. All right. So this persona is Georgie Wilborough. He's 7 from a quiet countryside village just outside Bath, England. Georgie acts out his made up roles in the green fields and old brick cottages he calls home. Nice. Georgie lives with his mom. I love the mom again, who works at the village library and always gets him check out to check out ways, lets him check out too many books. Sorry about that. Way too many books, especially ones about animals and old fairy tales. Nothing makes him happier than wearing costumes, getting picked for good school play roles, and people enjoying his performances. So his likes are being told stories, role playing, and socializing. Favorite color is sunset orange, lovely. Favorite food, cheesy beans on toast. Favorite drink, blackcurrant juice. And favorite treat, ginger nuts. Great researching British stuff. I love it. When I grow up, I want to be everybody. Oh, that's fun. So here's the backpack brainstorming. We got water bottle, sketchbook, journal, wizard hat, cape, souvenir music box. Oh, that's neat. Souvenir patch, and photo. I was initially skeptical as to if this was a necessary step. As I packed and chose representative items, however, I found it easier to put myself into Georgie's shoes. Overall, brainstorming helped me relate to an excited child at an acting summer camp. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's great. All right, so here's our mind map for Georgie. Good, good, good. And feel free to branch off even more on these mind maps, okay? It's a really great place for problem solving and just getting everything out of your head. Great mood board. All right, so we have a color palette along top. We've got some fun fonts up there. Great, lots of good stuff. Lots of little decorative elements. Really nice. Beautiful. I love it. Really cool. Nice. All right. Here's our logo sketches. Really nice. And the final, it turned out great. I love it. So here's our logo. It's wonderful. I love these fonts so much. Color palette is wonderful. The texture is beautiful. I love the ring decorated. We've got a kid in there, and it's like just the perfect amount of line work, you know, to not compete with that sort of filigree within the ring. I love the negative space of the filigree. It's Really great, really nice. And it all works beautifully with these fonts. I love it. I love it. Those ligatures in that font, really nice. I love a ligature so much. Lofist, good font. Excellent. Nice work. It turned out great. Cute. All right, so here's our products. We've got a bucket hat, a little bag, two bags. Oh, that's fun. Great. Really nice quality stuff. And we've got a lanyard. Really cool. Awesome. Really nicely thought out. I love the pattern. It turned out so great. It's perfect. It's wonderful. I'm stoked on it. This is really neat. Oh, this little patch down here. Ooh, and the pattern. Ooh, so many details. I love it. And look at you switched your logo out onto those instead of the pattern there. Really great. Really nice. Really, really nice. All right. Reflection regarding this project, I was initially concerned that most of my designs were more modern and aesthetic, and in my research of the arts and crafts style, I was afraid that I would not be able to execute said style well without it feeling dated. However, that really helped. Sorry, what really helped was being able to choose from fonts provided by instructor Venturini, the guidance to create a mood board and a persona, and the guidance to body storm and do the 30 sketches. The research was integral in the contextualizing of the design process. I was better able to imagine being a child at this camp and imagining what kind of brand I would want to see and what things I would want to have. Excellent. In prioritizing making this brand secondary to the Shakespeare Globe Theater, I chose to retain the ring shape from the logo. It seemed a recognizable feature to retain and work with, and on top of that, I wanted to remix the bold red to be familiar, but gentler and with less contrast for a childlike touch. I wanted to have the name of the camp in the ring, and while that did create movement, it was not very readable. Instead, I researched and did my best to emulate an arts and crafts style vine pattern, simplified to harmonize with the child-friendly aesthetic of the child in the logo. I found the Lofist font modern friendly yet still I found the Lofist font modern friendly yet still characterized and playful, making it my choice to pair with the original Ephra. I created the pattern with drawn symbols that I felt were thematically relevant with some dots to offset the negative space. Not all symbols had the same visual weight, particularly the script, but I felt as though I had arranged the pattern to feel balanced throughout. The pattern was created with with the products in mind, which I had chosen considering what I would want to have and take home from such a camp. It was satisfying to insert my color palette, logo, and pattern onto the bag in particular. I've always enjoyed customization, and this scratched that itch. This project was quite the accelerated learning experience for me. I'm proud to have executed and created this brand, and it was quite the exercise to learn to do so much in just a week. It is. It is. It's intense. This summer school class is intense, but you really mastered it really nicely. So, and I think that I'm just going to go back to these two. Yeah, the little dots are really a nice little touch too, and yeah, all the line weight being um, about the same throughout everything and nice and consistent. It's really beautiful, and I like that you're sort of balancing like some solid filled things with some no filled things and just line work. It's all working out really nicely in that pattern. I think it was also smart to choose the products first before doing this other stuff. And I think a hat is a really good camp item. I think that's fantastic. Um, then using the orange instead of red is really great because red we can associate with danger and blood and even like sexiness. And all that stuff is in Shakespeare plays because Shakespeare's plays were not made for children. So by toning it down and giving it an orange, orange is a more friendly way of still having a super vibrant color that can represent excitement, but we don't associate orange with blood, you know what I mean? Or murder or danger. So not usually, unless it's like a fluorescent orange, that kind of thing. But this is the perfect orange. So really wonderful. Great work, Derek. Thank you so much. All right. Next up is Shalom. So your persona is Marley Bell, currently 10 years old. will be turning 11 in December, lives in the London countryside with her mums and baby brother. Cute. Her favorite colors are pink and yellow, but blue is starting to grow on her. Her interests are watching movies, reading fantasy books, playing the piano, and making candy bracelets. Her favorite foods are toffee pudding. Me too. Oh my God. Mom's shepherd pie and strawberry rabana, especially on a hot day. What makes her happy? Sweets, dragons, and fairies, imitating actors on the telly, and her baby brother. I love that you all just got so British in explaining all the things. I just love it. Parents' statements. They support her increasing passion for acting and found this camp held during the summer. They wanted her to interact with other kids besides sitting in front of the TV all day, imitating her favorite actors. That's great. All right, so for the body storming, this exercise was pretty fun. Yay! I went back to the mind space of my younger self, who was in Girl Scouts, to remember what kinds of items I'd bring to an outdoor summer camp. I've never done an exercise like this, so it was nice. It was a nice change of pace. Great. Bug spray. Good job. That's a big one. Sunscreen, chips, great. Nuts. I love it. Good stuff. Some little sunglasses. Great work. So here's your mind map. Nice. I like seeing things like this over here. Let me move my head. These extra branching offs, I really like that a lot. So just keep up that nice work there. Just let this exercise really pull everything right out of your head. Good. So for your mood board, most images I got from Pinterest and from Google. Good. So we've got a nice, beautiful font right here. This P22 is so gorgeous. And then a little start for our color palette. We've got some British candy. I love it. Um, Excellent. I like that book cover for Midsummer Night's Dream. Really great. Good costume ideas. Wonderful. I love all this too, this kind of campy feeling stuff. Really nice. Oh, and more color palette. Great. All right, let's keep going. We've got all of our thumbnails. Lovely. Mhm. And I've already seen those, so I'm just going to skip past. All right, so here is the final logo. Let me just move to this. Okay, brand guide. Great. So we have our textures of some wood grain, especially like the rings in the middle, and some fleur-de-lis stuff. And then we have these two fonts here and this nice color palette. Great. All right. I'm just going to keep going and look at your products, and then I'll come on back to the logo. Mock-ups. Great. All right. Fun. Really nice. Good looking mock-ups there. Come on. There we go. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Excellent. All right. So I will admit this project was a little tough. I took the past 2 semesters off, so I felt super rusty and had to watch a few videos to help me get back in the groove of using Adobe again. I had fun though. It was a nice challenge. I took a lot of inspiration from Walter Crane and his The Frog Prince and other stories designs that made my own fairy design based off of it. I tried to make my design look more whimsical and used Queen Titania from, sorry, I should know how to pronounce that, but I just totally blew it, from A Midsummer Night's Dream as a reference. Originally, I wanted my colors to be darker tones, but the colors looked too muddy, so I went for pastel route. Seeing Walter Crane's work definitely helped me a lot, and I had fun drawing the fairy. I didn't want her to be too riddled with detail, so I tried to limit myself. My 4 merch items were all based on what I think would be sold in the gift shop at a camp. When I attended a Girl Scouts summer camp as a kid, we were allowed to buy merch at the end of the week, and I remember seeing a lot of yellow throughout the items. Nostalgic in a way, plus the yellow helps the blues and greens pop out more. Yeah, I agree. Great. So let me go on back here. Yeah, I think the yellow is a great choice. It's sunny and very reminiscent of camp. A lot of times at camps they'll put kids in a bright shirt so they can see them, especially like out in the woods, that kind of thing. So that was a really good choice, and it does play off of the yellow in her wings really nicely, and helps, like you said, pop that blue and green, blue and brown there. It's really nice. All right, so yeah, it definitely, I think it looks even better on the yellow than by itself or on white. Looks nice. Um, all right, so I feel like the fairy drawing is really pretty. It's very arts and crafts, and I can see all of your influences in it. It's really nice. Um, I'm a little bit like the gradients were distracting to me at first because um, like a lot of times I don't want students to use like newer kind of approaches on something that we're trying when we're trying to uh, make something look old. However, there is, I mean, this is looking, the gradients are making it feel a little more like Art Nouveau. But with that being said, I have seen arts and crafts stuff with sort of blends like this, like gradients. So I just had to kind of get there in my head. So the other thing is the I think that the this part is fine, but I would almost rather you took out these little leaf things or made it more floral. Like I know that you were trying to pull back on the detail, but the ring part feels in between. So I would say either pull back more and just have it be rings like the original thing a bit, or add these vines to it, one or the other. Right now, it just doesn't feel quite finished, just that part. Oops, sorry about that. Then I think you can go larger on the text. So I think that children's acting camp can come all the way up to halfway. And if you, I understand what you're doing. Sorry, I keep selecting that. I understand what you're doing with the groundlings being asymmetrical. And I don't know if it's because the children's acting camp is symmetrical, but something's not quite feeling balanced there. So I would recommend going larger with children's acting camp. Consider going larger with groundlings. If you have room on the side, you could add a little filigree there between the two in the empty space, but you don't have to. I love negative space too. If you want to play with centering groundlings, you can and just see what you like best. You also have this circle in the O here, and you could just place whatever that little circle is, between the two to separate them. You don't have to. I'm just, throwing some ideas out there, okay? It looks like there's some other characters in that font that have that. So maybe look at their glyphs and see if there's anything that's kind of cool in that font that you could add if you didn't want to add any floral aspects. But by no means do you have to add anything. This is just me, throwing some stuff out for you, okay? But I don't want you, when you increase the font size of Children's Acting Camp, I do still want there to be a difference between Groundlings, the scale of Groundlings, and the scale of Children's Acting Camp, because I think it really helps to keep those two fonts separate. If you scale this up to about the same size as this, they won't really look like they're two different fonts anymore. You know what I mean? Okay, I hope that makes sense. Um, great, okay. I love the color palette very much. And just looking. Did you try, I'm wondering if you tried this blue, the blue of your font, instead of this teal kind of color in the background there, if you tried that. I don't think you need this teal. Okay. All right, I've said enough. Great job. Thank you so much. All right, next up is Nathan. So this is Cece, Nathan's persona. Cece is 6. Oh, and she lives in Dallas, Texas. She is a body full of wonder, joy, and excitement with an urge to learn anything at any time. Although her hobbies might describe her as a homebody, she is always ready for an adventure in the real world as her curiosity fuels her and her imagination. Great. Her interests are science fiction films, action and adventure genre, arts and crafts, mostly coloring books. Raya from Raya and the Last Dragon. Great. Dragons, peacocks, and cats. Me too. I like that stuff. Happiness Maker, role playing with other kids and her parents, reading books and coloring, adventuring to different and new places, and waffles. Favorite colors are blue and green. These colors remind her of the sky, ocean, and grass. They are relaxing to her. Her favorite foods are waffles, pho, spaghetti, mango tea and juice, water, chocolate cakes. Yeah. Her caregivers say Cece has two parents, a mother and a father, who are married to each other and all live under the same household. Her mother is an anthropologist and her dad is a high school teacher that teaches English lit. Cool. Body storming, hat, water bottle, hand sanitizer. Good one. Journal and pen, camera, lunchbox and snack, script, reading book, pair of clothes. Great. Sorry about that. So thoughts. The excitement came from the preparation for the next day as thoughts come pouring in of what is to come. With this, the apprehensions were if the lines of the script can be remembered or if any friends can be made on the day of. Therefore, there was a feeling of anxiousness and excitement that continued. But as tomorrow comes closer, preparation can only be done. Overall, body storming this scenario was a bit difficult since I have never been to this type of camp or camping in general, so everything was just imaginative thinking. Well, you did great. You did perfect. Great job. Here's your mind map. Notes like water, food, clothes, and hand sanitizer. Good, good. Yeah, this looks good. So I like to see like several branching off moments like this and here. Really nice work there. Good job. All right, mood board. We got some great fonts. Ooh, of course, there's waffles. Really nice. A good looking palette there. Great, great. Good stuff. Lots of Shakespearean stuff. And we got all these thumbnails. Excellent. Good. All right. So here's our logo. It's pretty cool. The fonts look really nice. Really good. And they're a good scale compared to the icon. Excellent. I like that texture you used too. It's really nice. Great color palette. There's a lot going on in that color palette. I think we could take a color out. Let's keep going. I want to see what you did with it. Oh, great. Okay. Whoa. What are these? Business cards. So we have a deck of cards and some business cards. Okay. Then we have some gift bags and we have a t-shirt. Let's see how they turned out here. Oh, it's an acting kit. Sorry, I couldn't read that on the smaller thumbnail. This is why we have them big on each thumbnail. Oh, that's fun. I love that. Cool. Very nice. Yeah, I just don't know if we need these. All right, cute. Okay, Gradling's Children Acting Camp was a fun and tedious project, ain't that the truth? I enjoyed learning and designing a secondary brand. Let me move my head. While learning about the arts and crafts movement, as mentioned before, this was a tedious experience due to the short span of to complete the project and being able to differentiate the arts and crafts style from Art Nouveau and Victorian art. So that is where the difficulty started. I get it. Redesigning a minimalist logo into something more detailed, legible, and recognizable was difficult since contemporary design is mostly minimal. I had to think of ideas that were different but could still be connected to the primary brand, Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. Thankfully, from the mind maps and mood boards, I saw many connections to the shape of a circle and the symbolism behind circular shapes like unity, holisticism, balance, etc. Additionally, there were lots of objects that had a circular shape, like flowers and a sun. In the end, I used the mind map to discover repeated words that match the aesthetic and feel of a children's camp to design the logo and products. The logo is designed to appear like a flower, but if looked at carefully, the petals have the movement and curves that are representative of an individual. I made the logo appear a part of the arts and craft movement through thick outlines, similar colors, the organic shapes, while ensuring that it had resembled a resemblance to the globe, to the globe by making it circular and have 20 sides. Great, that's cool. The logo was paired with the fonts P22 Arts and Crafts Hunter and Jacqueline Regular, Jacelyn, to balance out the roundness with more sharp elements. Okay, the logo is mostly red due to Shakespeare Globe Theater and has two accent colors, burgundy red and golden yellow. These two colors were used to create contrast in the logo. Golden yellow is used as a highlighting value to create attention toward the center. Burgundy red was used as an outline of the logo to unify everything. For my products, the color palettes were brown, teal, muted pastel blue, and yellow because they coordinate with the logo and are colors that resemble nature. I used a mosaic tile, a triangular tiled grid, a floral pattern to enhance the clarity of my design. The mosaic and grid texture made my design easier to view when a background color can possibly hinder its clarity, while the floral pattern enhances the overall intention behind my logo. The four products that were mocked up were business cards, a shirt, bag gifts, and a packaging box. Each of them fit perfectly to the brand since events like this offer merchandise like clothing or a board game that are usually placed into a bag. And if there are any issues, the business cards can be used as a form of contact for assistance. All right, got it. Great. So let me go back. Great. Okay. So the business cards are black, right? And so is the box. We have black here. I recommend ditching the teal. I understand that they are with nature. I mean, I don't know. See now, and this blue is like a periwinkle blue. I just don't see the relationship in these values. They feel a little bit random. So I love this color palette right here. This is working beautifully. But then mixing these with like a more pastelish, it's not completely pastel, but it's starting to get there. It's just not working. So I would either, let me go back and look at your merch. This looks nice on this color. So, I mean, if you wanted to keep it this tealish green, that's nice. But you don't need this yellow. You could go with a lighter version of this color here, but this is too sunny and yellow. And then get rid of the periwinkle, and you can keep the black. I don't think you need black. Sorry, I totally just lost my spot in your slide. There you go. I don't think you need black anywhere. You've got a beautiful color palette without it. All right. So basically, what I'm trying to say is get rid of black, periwinkle, yellow. Give yourself a lighter tint of this orange color, orangish yellow color, and then keep the teal. Then keep this, change the color of this bag. I don't think you need this square hexagon pattern. I understand why you have it, but it's competing and it just doesn't feel like the other stuff. You know what I mean? But the shirt is perfect. And then just swap out the black on here for one of your other colors. This looks cool right here, this color combination. And then you made a little pattern, which is nice. I would recommend instead of muting those colors, make that pattern with the yellow or with this green or something. No, don't make it with the green. It won't show up very well behind that that text there, but the yellow, if you were just to apply that yellow to the whole logo, like the black and white version, that would totally show up and not have it. It's not going to be yellow. It's going to be the light orange, right? But yeah, ultimately it's up to you. But I hope that what I'm saying makes sense. So these fonts, like I said, they look perfect together. These are pretty neat, these little shapes in here. I like that. I like that hint of yellow that you added. Sorry about that. I think it looks great. All right, great. Thank you so much. Okay, next up is Nick. Nick's persona is a 9-year-old Jeff, and he lives in the suburban area of Manchester. His favorite food is pizza, with his favorite drink to go with it being root beer. Me too. He also loves ice cream. Me too, for dessert. He likes playing baseball, video games, and going to school. Things that make him happy are hanging out with his friends, recess, and sports games. Jeff's caregiver, his mom, values educational experiences that can be fun and give valuable lessons to her son. Very nice. When brainstorming, I had a hard time thinking of things that were going to be included in the backpack and don't always know if certain things are a good idea, but once I get going, I think the process was helpful and I ended up much more organized with a good pool of decent ideas to look at from that point forward. That's what I'm talking about. Band-aids are always a great idea. Really nice. Okay. So next one is, I mean, this looks like a collage that you made as opposed to taking a picture of a real life thing, but maybe it is a real life thing and you cut it out in Photoshop, but I don't think it is. Okay, that's all right. So next up is our mind map. Good. I think that you could branch out even further on some of these, okay? Just for future mind mapping. Don't be afraid to spend a little more time on there. Next is our arts and crafts mood board. Let's move this over here. Great. Good looking mood board. Love it. Good stuff. We got the start of a color palette. We have some great fonts here. This is really beautiful, really nice. Awesome. Okay, we have all of our logo sketches, which I have already seen. All right, and here is our final logo. Cool. Hmm, hmm. All right, I'm going to come back to this. Wow. Okay, that's cool. All right, just gonna move my head again. I had fun with the project, and the preparation steps really helped to minimize the difficulties. That's great. My weaknesses are in the planning portion, and although it was still difficult to come up with ideas, I did do so through the planning assignments. I chose my colors because they matched the different variations of the globe logo, specifically the black and red. The tan was from the mood board I created, derived from the arts and crafts design I was mimicking. I got my main pattern from the arts and crafts designs as well. Cool. Okay, let me go on back here. Okay, so I'm seeing that one. I didn't see this one on anything. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay, just making sure. Yeah, I don't think we need this one with all the extra stuff because we already have plenty going on here. Um, so I love the fonts very much, but I'm not crazy about the strokes on the fonts. I understand what you were doing though, there. So what I recommend is no stroke on groundlings and swapping out children's acting camp with just a black fill and no stroke. And then I don't think that I guess you have to look at it. I was going to say, I don't think you need to stroke these guys here, but if it looks weird without it, then since there's black all around this one, I understand you can keep that stroke there. All right. So we don't need this one, even though it's cool. We'll just stick with this one. And then I recommend making a horizontal version of it just to have as a second option. You don't need it to put it on any of your merch, but we do need 2 more merch items. So it was supposed to be 4 different merch items, but let me see if that's what you did and no, so we just have 4 different mock-ups, but maybe I didn't specify that. I'll go back and take a look. So with the merch, So this lunchbox thing is a really good idea. It's kind of like a little bento box, and I like that a lot. The only thing is with all this black, it just doesn't feel like it's geared towards children. And not that kids don't like black stuff. That's not true. Like they like all kinds of cool stuff, but like um, it just doesn't feel like soft and campish. You know what I mean? So I'm wondering if you would consider inverting it so that you have a tan background with black filigree or tan background with red filigree and just kind of play with it, see which one looks better. And I think that will instantly kind of lighten the feel of it. When we're working with all these kind of Gothic fonts and even these flowers and stuff can sometimes be associated with Gothicness, plus black, it just all of a sudden feels very vampire-ish, and we want it to not feel like that. We want it to feel more fun and light for camp and summery, right? Um, then same with the water bottle. And with this water bottle, I don't want to see distortion in these designs here. Okay, so no stretching to fill out your mock-up. Instead, change the actual graphics itself to fit the mock-up. Don't make the mock-up fit the graphic, if that makes sense. Okay, no distorting or stretching. Great. So you could just create a pattern as opposed to framing it, but the framing does look really nice. Okay, and then see if you can, I'm cool with the top staying black, that's fine, but I think that you need two more pieces of merch for your mock-ups, okay? Great, excellent. Thank you so much, Nick. All right, next up is Jessica. So Jessica's persona is 10-year-old Katie, who was born in Brighton, England, which is known for its rich culture and stunning coastal scenery. She derives her vibrancy and creativity from this lovely suburban city. Her interests include gymnastics, hiking around various parts of England, and folding origami. Additionally, she feels overjoyed when she gets to eat her favorite treat, a chocolate milkshake. Her mother, Tracy, runs an animal rescue where Katie volunteers every weekend. What makes her happy is getting to see piglets at the animal resume, okay, finding daisies in the fields and making homemade jewelry with her favorite colors, purple and lime green. Great. Brainstorming, apprehensions, nervous, first time doing a body storming experience, difficulties, getting a good photo of the content in the backpack and fitting them. Enjoyments, gathering items for a Shakespearean summer camp like water bottle, fanny pack, and journal. Overall outcome, this was an interesting experience for sure. I would try it again for a few. Hey, I like it. I like it. I know it feels silly at first. You're like, is she really gonna make me do this? And but then when you do it, you're like, it's kind of fun. Great. So here's the start of a mind map. I think that we could dig a little deeper here. So in the future, branch off even more. Give yourself like 4 good levels off of that center item. Okay, take some time on there. And here's the start of a mood board. Nice color palette. Very pretty. Some nice decorations here. I think you could have gone even further with some camp imagery, some Shakespearean imagery, but I like all this illustrative inspiration. It's really nice. Great, now we have our thumbnails. So in the future, when you're making thumbnails for a logo, incorporate the words too, okay? Don't just make icons. That's too hard. That's just too hard. Or just letter marks. Figure out how you're going to incorporate the words with the icons, okay? Good. So see here, we don't have a full logo. We just have an icon, but it's very cute. So let's see. Here's our color palette. Oh, that's fun. It's a fun color palette. I love these textures. All right, let's keep going. Okay, so now we have some words incorporated. Great. I'm just going to get to the bigger ones here. Great. That's cute. I like how you You did this like asymmetrical little flower with the icon. That's nice. And then you had a different version of it. That's nice. Cute. All right. All right. It's working. I'm happy to see it with the text. So go ahead back on here. Um, make sure you have the version with the text, okay? And then if you wanted to, you could also include the little 5 flower kind of icon if you wanted to. Oh my God, sorry, I'm going crazy here. So a hat is a great idea. I like these color combinations a lot. It's a really fun palette. Really cool. Let me just look at this one. So I don't see this blue in your color palette either. Just a heads up there. Might want to add that to there. Okay. Excellent. My only concern with this is scale. So that's why I was like really looking at this to see how it looks when it's real small. But I think it's all right. I think it's fine. Great. Okay. Let me read your thing here. Reflections. What I liked about this project was that I had never heard of a summer camp for Shakespeare before. The unique theme was fun to play around. I ran into difficulties choosing a logo I liked and finding products to place it on for my mock-ups. To overcome challenges of finding mock-ups, I created a mind map of objects that children might take to camp, such as sunscreen backpacks. For the colors, I chose red, swatched with the original logo, orange green, and blue gray because I thought they give a summer camp vibe. The font, original woody, was chosen because of its organic look, and the leafy textures are inspired by the original Shakespearean globe logo. All right, four final objects. See, I only see 3 final objects there. I don't know. Is that what we're talking about? Maybe not. All right, thanks so much, Jessica. Oop, there we go. Yeah. Next up is Nico. Nico's persona is Jimmy. Jimmy's 9, lives in suburban London, likes playing outside with friends, visiting his nan, spending time with his parents. His interests are sports, art, reading. Favorites are sausage rolls, fruit juice, jam roly polies. I want one of those. And red and blue. Caregivers. Jimmy's parents are trendy, college educated millennials who encourage him to try new things. Excellent. Body storming. I had never done a body storming exercise before. Neither has anybody else. Some difficulties I had were keeping my persona's interests in mind as well as being mindful of the specifications of my camp. I enjoyed making connections with my persona to making connections with my persona to merch that the camp would offer. Overall, this was an insightful and informative process. Well, right on. That's great. I love hearing that. Mood board. It's great. Good looking stuff here. See some fonts, some color, some Pantone colors. Lots of little Shakespeare guys. Those are really fun. Great patterns and extra little designs. Really good. Great. Even some products. That's cool. All right, so here's our start of our mind map. It's looking good. Looking good. I like this. I like seeing like several branches off of the center, going deeper and deeper into those ideas. Okay, and here are your thumbnails, which I have already seen, so I will keep going. And here's our logo. Turned out so cute. I love it. Very cute. Nice color palette. It's working beautifully. And I love the font so much. It turned out great. Really great. Really nice. So having your font like in on a circular path inside of the logo does pay homage to the ring, you know, the original ring in the logo really nicely. And I think the little skulls turned out so great. And with the crown on it, it's so fun because it's referencing not just Hamlet. I feel like it's appropriate for some other Shakespeare plays as well. So that's really great. And we have a paper texture. Cool. All right, what's this? What is that? Oh, a sticker pack. Oh, fun. Okay. Colored pencils, that's a great idea. Really nice. Cool. Okay. So I like taking the elements of the arts and crafts movement and designing them in a way that targets a younger demographic. A challenge I faced was getting my text to fit into the round shape correctly. I overcame this by choosing the P22 arts and crafts font using different weights, kerning, and tracking. The colors I chose reminded me the most of the Globe Theater branding while still being appealing to kids. I wanted to use a paper texture to play into the literary feel of Shakespeare. That's great. Lastly, my chosen products of stickers are engaging to children because they are collectible and provide a sense of accomplishment. Colored pencils are aimed for their creativity. Great. Yeah, these are really cool. That's a fun little pattern you made there too. So I think that you could, I'm looking at your color palette again. Hmm. All right. So the only thing is like this package is very sophisticated, and that's always awesome, right? But we are marketing to children. Um, we want those kids to be like, Mom, will you buy me this? So, uh, and right now, like I would buy that because it looks cool, but it almost looks like it's grown up colored pencils. So I was looking to see if there was a way to make it more kind of punchy color because you're not incorporating the red at all on here. And so I didn't know if you might consider swapping it so it's like the red and yellow, a nice contrasty, and then using the blue logo on both of these or something like that. It could be this red and green. Might look a little Christmassy. I don't think it will because of the value of that green, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to say here. I think adding some red to, because that red is really like electric, I think it'll make it more playful and less fancy. Great. All right. Thank you so much. Great work, Nico. Next up is Claire. Oh, Claire's persona is Lillian Rosario. She's 7 years old and lives in Highworth, England. She loves painting, watching movies, video games, playing outside. Things that make them happy is singing, playing dressing up, collecting flowers. Favorite food are spaghetti, orange juice, ice cream sandwiches. And favorite color is orange. Her mom is a nurse and her dad is a fisherman. I love it. So it says it was definitely, hold on, let me move my head here. It was definitely my first time brainstorming, and I really had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what to pack for. I didn't know if this was a place where I can have some free time or not. Whether if the place was a 1 day thing or if it took weeks, I just decided to think of bringing a shirt for emergencies and then snacks in case I got hungry during the summer camp, and then a notebook and a pencil case if I needed to take down notes or if I wanted to jot down a couple of kids' information like social media or perhaps their phone number. In the end, I definitely think I underpacked. Well, I think that sounds pretty good. I mean, maybe some sunscreen and maybe some bug spray, but snacks are important. Maybe a water bottle, right? Good job. Here's your mind map. Great. Good start here. I really like seeing at least 4 levels out of the center. I've been saying that to a lot of your classmates, so it's good to see here. Really nice job there. Don't be afraid to spend lots of time on these mind maps. They really help. And here's your beautiful mood board. That's a nice one. I love it. Really cool. Lots of beautiful patterns, and we've got a little color palette up there in the top left. We got some fonts to start with here, and these are really cute. These pictures of the kids acting, that's a really great inspiration there. I like that. Here are your thumbnails, which I've already seen, so we'll keep going. And then here is the final. So here's your logo, okay? And the typeface is Garamond and Bodini. Okay. And our color palette is super fun. And then we've got no postmodernism. That's hundreds of years later. No, it's not hundreds, but we're not there yet. So let's keep seeing what happens here. Whoa, okay. Let's keep going. All right. I get it. I get it. I see where you're going. Okay, and let me keep looking here. hmm hmm Okay, I really enjoyed making the pattern for this project. The tutorials are tremendously helpful to me. Yay! I wish I'd known how to make patterns sooner. I could have saved some time for making this assignment, but I still watched them all the same just in case. Excellent. I struggled with understanding the assignment in the beginning because I didn't know how I was going to incorporate the arts and crafts time period into my design. Choosing a typeface for the project was also a little bit difficult because I had to keep going back and forth, double checking if the typeface was in the right time period. I overcame the challenge by just keeping it going. You got to do it, just power through. Asking questions, reading reviews, persistently doing a little but more research. I think the most difficult challenge I faced was trying to implement the texture from the original brand onto the secondary brand. I just failed altogether and I made the decision to skip it for now. That's all right. I chose Garamond for my typeface because I still wanted to incorporate a classic look into the secondary branding while introducing the new elements that are fun and enticing to the target audience. For my final objects, I chose a shirt, a tumbler, and a tote bag. I chose a shirt for my first object because I thought it would be the best choice for a souvenir, as a souvenir for the kids to sign once summer camp is over. Great idea. The next object I chose was a tumbler because I believe that a tumbler is one of the most common souvenir options for most companies. My last object is a tote bag because I wanted to give something back to the parents and gift them with something they could use that's multi-purpose. Great. Excellent. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at this logo. So on this brand guide, you want to show the colored finish logo. I understand that you had a hard time with getting the texture on there. That's okay. With this logo, I think that your line thickness for the flowers should be closer to the line thickness of the masks. All right. Um, and then make your line thickness and the eyebrows consistent. I go with the thicker side because as this scales down, we're going to lose detail if it's real thin like that. All right. We don't want the flowers to feel like they were added separately. And when they're a different line weight, they do feel that way. Let me look at see if you okay. We also I always discourage strokes, especially black strokes, um, because it's kind of the Illustrator default, and I really want you to pull away from that and figure out other ways of separating your illustrations or whatever it is from the thing that's behind it without using black strokes, okay? So I was looking at this and I was trying to figure that out. I think we have too much, uh, too many colors in that logo. So you might consider maybe instead of the pink, making it the purple, and instead of the yellow, making it the orange. And then you can have the ring on the outside, and then instead of black here, hold on, let me look at your colors again. Hold on, let me take it back a second. Taking back what I said. How about this? Instead of black, use the dark purple everywhere. Get rid of black altogether. All right. Then where the purple currently is in the mask, use the, if this is the color of your ring, maybe use one of the pinks instead. Yeah. Okay. As far as the font goes, I think Children's Acting Camp looks good in that font, but you have one of these really cool fonts here. And immediately adding one of those fonts from those fonts that from that font list that I provided to you, um, those are all so super arts and craftsy that it's going to instantly transform your logo into looking more arts and crafts. Right now, it looks a little newer than arts and crafts, whether Garamond and Modini were made back then or not. I think maybe it's the combination of the two serifs. I'm not sure, but I think you could get a little wilder with one of these fonts. Now, postmodern, this is just feeling super 80s to me, and we're talking 1980s. So I understand that we're going for a child's demographic, and that is super smart. And I love that that's, your main focus. I think it's really important. And I also really love that you had fun with the pattern maker for sure. So instead of the squiggles and geometric shapes, you need to think more along the lines of arts and crafts shapes. So if we go back to your mood board, we've got these beautiful poppies. We've got the faces, right? We've got strawberries, there's other little elements here that are less, and all these kind of flowers and stuff. So there's other elements that are less 80s with the squiggles and the geometric shapes, and more arts and crafts with organic flowers, fruit, animals, that kind of thing. I'm not telling you to go with the birds because I think the birds will sort of clash with the masks, but I think you understand what I'm saying. And then the flowers in your logo are looking very daisy-ish, and I don't see a ton of daisies in this arts and crafts work, but there are petaled flowers like these here and these here. If you could make them look a little bit more authentic to the arts and crafts movement by just picking one of these like pansies and replicating that. Let me look at your logo one more time. Let me see if you even need it. Yeah, I think it does add like a child's makes it, just having the masks doesn't really make it seem like it's for kids, but adding the flowers makes it more fun. So I do understand why you did that there. And I think it's all right, like to keep them. I just want them to look more arts and crafts-ish. All right. Don't worry about the texture. I think it's okay without it. All right. Yeah. So getting rid of the black altogether will also make it even more for kids. Okay. Great. Thank you so much. Next up is Riley. Great. All right. So Riley's persona, excellent, is Harper. Cute. She's 12. Her hometown is a quiet rural village in the English countryside where you can see endless landscapes of grassland and walkable trails. Oh, that sounds lovely. Interests are reading books, playing dress up, writing, and drawing stories. Three things that make her happy: cuddling with her dog as she reads. I do that all the time. Presenting her stories to her family, and riding her bike during sunset. Favorite food: Yorkshire pudding. Yum. Favorite drink: Sunny D. Favorite dessert: jelly and ice cream. Oh, favorite colors: lavender and sky blue. Caregivers. Harper's mother owns a bookshop, which is where she grew her love for reading. Her father's often away for work, but he always brings back a souvenir for Harper from his travels. Great. So body storming. This is my first time trying this method of body brainstorming for a project. I thought it was really interesting, and I felt it did help me understand what kind of audience would be associated and engaging with the brand I'm designing. Yeah, I like your oat milk hat. These are fun things to bring to camp. Double fans. I like that. Great. Right. So with the materials I used for my brainstorming, I tried to see what these items could relate to um, acting summer camp. Great. Good. So I like to see like 4 levels off of the center. So I see a lot of 3 levels. This one is about this 4 levels. So I like that. So don't be afraid. Dig a little deeper. Fill up that whole page. Excellent. So for your mood board, I created a mood board for inspiration. It includes objects that relate to the brand. So that way I can get an overall idea of what my logo will look like. I also put objects included in my persona and the typography I want to use. Fantastic. Fantastic. So I love these fonts. I love Lofist. I love Dire Arts and Crafts. Really nice picture of Shakespeare. I like this one down here with the little girl in the mirror with the crown. It's really fun. Sorry about that. Get out of here. We've got a tree ring texture, really nice. All of these beautiful patterns. Fun color palette. Excellent. All right. I'm interested to see how this gets worked in there. Let's find out. All right, logo thumbnails. Great. I have seen these and I love them. Let's keep going. All right, brand guide. After getting feedback, I moved forward with designing my logo and decided to go with the plume hat concept. Fun. I liked how it ties back to Shakespeare and that time period as it really fits the theater theme. I also tweaked my typography of the typeface a little because I loved the playful vibes it gives off, which works perfectly for the kid-friendly identity I wanted. For the color palette, I aimed for something bright and attention-grabbing for kids while still keeping that signature red from the Globe Theater's logo. Really cute. I love this color palette very much. All right, I'm gonna see what it looks like on the mock-ups here. So for mock-ups, I kept in mind which objects I'm included in my brainstorming and chose hat, sticker, cup, and bag. Let me move my head. Cute. Cute. All right. That's funny. I love the hat on there. That's great. That's really cute. Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. Okay. My overall thoughts are that I'm really proud of what I made. Good. This was my first time doing a full brand identity project, so there was definitely a lot of trial and error within sketching thumbnails, adjusting shapes and proportions, and figuring out how to make everything feel visually balanced. When I first started sketching logo thumbnails, I was stuck. But once my brain warmed up. The ideas kept coming. Yay! I played around with shapes, negative space, and little symbolic details that would really give off the feeling of an acting summer camp. I narrowed down all 32 sketches to 3 concepts that felt scalable and had strong brand recognition potential. I knew I wanted theater elements and Shakespearean references, so the plumed hat is what I thought would execute that vibe. Once I got the go ahead, I jumped into Illustrator and started cleaning up the vector lines, making the shapes feel more polished, and playing around with type alignment and spacing for the main logo, secondary logo, and submark. Structuring the overall layout came pretty naturally. Where I really struggled was the color palette. I tried to balance a red-green complementary palette, but kept drifting into unintentional Christmas vibes. That'll happen when we're working with red. That's when I realized my leaf line art pattern didn't have to be green. Letting go of that opened things up, and I decided to lean toward a warm camp palette of reds, oranges, maybe a toasty neutral that supports the mood, unity, and brand personality. In the end, the whole logo system feels really put together. Repeating the plume hat helps everything feel connected, and playing with size between the main logo and smaller marks makes the hierarchy clear. The warm colors also bring in that fun, playful vibe I wanted while still keeping things balanced and easy to read. It ended up looking a lot like what I pictured in my head, and I'm super happy with it. That makes me happy too. Let me get back to there we go. Okay, so I like this like tertiary kind of color palette. I think it's really cool. And it, it helps to tone down the red. I had mentioned this to another one of your classmates. I think it was Derek. He shifted the red to an orangey color, and we a lot of times we associate red with danger and blood and sexiness. And so by shifting your palette towards the orange, which is a way more fun yet still very attention-getting color, it was really smart. It feels more geared towards kids and summertime. So I think that's wonderful. I love the beret or the feathered hat, not a beret, sorry, the feathered hat on the ring. I think that's a really cute reference. Very almost like easy way to create a secondary logo, but it's thought out so well and so clean that it's not easy, right? Um, I understand where you're going here with this one, but I love this so much, and we don't need these swirlies. You can get rid of those. The logo itself, just that font with these ligatures is so cool. It complements Children's Acting Camp beautifully. I would just nudge Children's Acting Camp to the left a little bit so that it aligns right here with if you're getting rid of these little swirlies. Um, yeah, you could also think about maybe changing this color to the same color as the hat, but just play with it and see what you think about that. Um, Really nice. Okay, and then let me look at these again. Yeah, so with your hat, you have horizontal space to have the whole logo on there. And I think that you should have the whole logo on there. That's just me. Like, this is cool, but it doesn't say anything about the kids, you know what I mean? So, but I think at the same time, it's just a more minimalist approach. I'm fine with it. Whatever, either way, whichever way you want to go, it's fine. Great. Great. I love your pattern. It turned out really nice. It's really cute. And I don't feel like this is too much at all. Like I love all those leaves and vines, and I'm happy that you got rid of the green. I think it looks great like this. So really nice work. Thanks so much, Riley. And next is Victoria. Great. Victoria's persona. Hold on, let me get rid of this. Come here, you. There we go. Okay. Victoria's persona. Her name is Annie. She's 9, and she lives in urban southern London. Her interests are theater, Roblox, TikTok dances. What makes her happy is seeing her friends, both in school and at camp. Sanrio characters, me too, and playing games online. Favorite food or drinks and snacks are mac and cheese, orange juice, and mystery. Favorite colors are green and yellow. Insight on caregivers. Annie's parents are old theater students. They try to make her read as much as possible in her free time, and she now reads above her grade level. Yeah! The camp helps keep her active outside while her parents work during summer. Great. So for the body storming, overall, I found this part of the project to be quite interesting. It was easy for me in the sense that I still have some childlike items in my room, including the little Sanrio characters that I made my persona like. Might seem a bit imposing, but kids still love them. I love them too. I love them. The main difficult part was finding items that may pertain to acting. I have my persona, a notebook, and pencils to take notes for the acting camp, along with a little scarf for her to wear for her character. I had seen a few kids wear a scarf in the video of acting camps presented in our slides. So overall, it was a cute way of exploring my persona. Well, great. I'm so glad. Yeah, I think you got some good stuff. We need some sunglasses, some snacks, toothbrush, a great idea. Water bottle and a hat. Perfect. Yeah, great. Woo, awesome. I love this mind map. I will take it. So I like to see like 4 levels off of the center. I feel like I see it a little bit somewhere. Maybe here, maybe here. Yeah, okay. All right, next up is the mood board. Look at this one. I love that. So basically all pictures of kids. You could also incorporate, I mean, I like your background image too, but you can also incorporate your fonts and your color palette, and definitely some arts and crafts stuff, right? Great. Here is your logo sketches. Hold on, I gotta zoom out. There we go. And here is our, I just forgot what I called it, brand guide. Great. So we have the Groundlings Children's Acting Camp. Okay. We have an alt version. That's a good idea with just the letter form there. And here's our color palette. Okay, I'm going to come back to this, all right? Boop. Okay, great. All right, so we've got some shirts and a hat and a bag. Excellent. Great. Easy enough. Great. Good, good. Okay. Okay. Since this course is a bit faster than a traditional 16-week course, you can say that again. I found that I had to be very decisive and intentional with my time management. After submitting our first assignment for the logo sketches, I received feedback on how my initial sketches didn't seem to align well with the Shakespeare Globe Theatre logo. I then decided to take one of my favorite sketches, that of the crown, and wrap the image into a circle to reference the Globe Theatre logo. The crown is intended to evoke images of kings and princes who are often key to characters in Shakespeare's plays. In all, it's a clear reference to Macbeth. The sun symbol is for the summer camp feel. Okay. The fonts I selected were Ephra for Groundlings Children, which is used in the current Globe Theatre, and Stymie DCD Regular, another font that was selected from the Arts and Crafts logo font module. I utilized Stymie for the acting camp copy of my logo. For color selections, the first three hex codes are pulled straight from the Globe Theater's brand guides, while the blue, yellow, and tan are selected personally for the children's acting camp. Great. Although for the most part, the brightest colors are all primary, they will work well together. The tan color selected was to be seen as another natural color to use, similar to the black and white. In terms of textures used, I believe a paper texture will suit the design as it links to the books and scripts and crafts. I love it. A more worn out paper look will also add to the old age and feel of the Victorian era, which overlaps with the arts and crafts movement. The only drawback, I have with this project is the lack of embellishment detail. I find my logo to be both simple and straightforward, but I do hope it conveys itself well. All right, let's see. Let's look one more time. So I understand that the black, that these colors come from, I think that's what she said, right? Yeah, these colors come from the initial branding guide of the Globe, but I don't think you need the black. I'm always pushing people away from using black because there's just so many other colors to use, right? And black is a default color all the time. So, let's see what you can do. You could make a very dark blue if you wanted to still have a 6-color palette, but I don't know if you need it. Let's keep looking. So with the logo itself, I think by wrapping it in the ring, you did a good job, pulling the crown and the ring together. I think that looks really nice. The sun isn't quite uh, feeling like a sun to me, and that could just be me, but it feels more like a seal or you know what I mean? So I don't know. What if you were to place the sun behind the arc? So it almost looks like it's a sun rising or setting, It's cropped here at the circle, if that makes sense. Um, you may need to rise it up a little bit higher, just play with it, and just try that. If it looks dumb, then keep it as it is, okay? I think that the ephra is great, but if you wanted to make this feel even more arts and crafts, then instead of going with the stymie, you could go with one of those more really arts and crafts looking fonts that I provided in that list. And then it will feel, because having this sans serif font next to a slab font is still making it feel pretty modern. And even though those fonts are correct and still okay to use, like if you really wanted to push it to arts and crafts, you could use one of those really arts and craftsy. Then I want you to double check your path that you typed on for both of these. I want this to be centered more. It's not, if you look at the spacing between this G and the edge here versus the spacing between this I and the edge, it's just not the same, right? So it needs to come up and be centered through this ring and pulled away from this baseline a little bit. Try to make the space between the bottom of the word the same as the space above the word. Same goes with acting camp, okay? Right now your space is closer to the center circle and we have a larger gap down here. We want it to be centered through there. And we want it to be also center aligned. So if I was to draw a line here like this, notice how far the P is. The A is touching that line that I just drew, but the P is way down there. And it's because it's a shorter word, right? But if you put the sun behind that circle, then you can space that out and have it actually be truly centered on that bottom circle. All right. And then let me look here. Okay. So the S is touching the line, but the G's not. So that's also needs to rotate counterclockwise just a hair so that it is even Steven. Okay. All right. Great. Then, and I love this. Okay. Then on these shirts, I love the tan so much with the red. It looks fantastic. And I like what you did with your pattern of the sun. I think that's really smart. This logo here is a bit too close to the seam, so you need to bump it up and make sure that it is evenly placed between the two seams, okay? Um, then, yeah, I like these like washed, I can't think of the, not a stone wash, but I can't think of what these are, these types of, kind of distressed colored shirts are called, but it looks great and the kids love them. So I think that's wonderful. And then if you get rid of the black, you could have a black shirt. It doesn't have to be part of the color palette there. But if you get rid of the black in your color palette, then, try that dark blue or that's it really. I don't think the other one would work there. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. You all did so great. I can't wait to see your next projects.